Okay, I think we're live. Excellent. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Yes, that was very stressful. I didn't have any helpers at all, Fiona. I'm supposed to have helpers, but Jill and Richard have got their another wine tasting on, and I've kicked them out to the cellar door. So they're doing. So you'll probably see Richard coming and going with glasses because their people are arriving at 6:30. Jill's in the kitchen. Peter's gone home to his wife. How rude. Hi, Nina. And I had to cook these all by myself, but I managed it. So they're my lamb scottaditi, or my little lamb chops. How are you, Paul and Roz? Good to see you. I'm looking forward to this wine as well. Who else have I not said hello to? Hello, Cotty and John, sitting by the fire, wine at the ready. Craig, you win. Mencia. It's pronounced like that, but it's not spelled like that. Tricky, these Spanish words. Hello, Peter and Karen. Thank you. I do think my chops look lovely. Thinly sliced lamb backstrap for Craig. Yum. Hello, Jeff. Solo tonight. Sue's away with the granddaughters. Hello, Nareem and all the guys. Lovely to see you. Who have I not said? Paul and Roz, did I say hello to you? Yes. Fiona, I said hello to you. I think I've said hello to everyone if I haven't. Kevin and Emily, welcome back. Woo! Just in time for the freezing cold Moorooduc nights. Hello, Shell and Andrew. How are you? I think I've got smoky. My glasses are filthy because I just was outside in the barbecue cooking my chops. Excuse me, this will probably make them worse. But anyway, I can't see your comments if I'm not wearing my glasses, so that's not going to work. So I was a tiny bit late to log on this afternoon. I was a little bit late to log on this afternoon because I was trying to find out, to very little avail, what the appropriate glassware is for Mencia. Hello, Sarah and all the tricks. Lovely to see you guys. I can't wait to get stuck into this lamb. It smells absolutely exquisite. And weirdly, Polly's not eating her dog food because she thinks she'd like some lamb as well. So let's, Cotty, bit of peace, lamb koftas and couscous. But oh yeah, the Moors were in Spain as well. They might have eaten this with Mencia. I think that's right. A universal glass always works, Kay. I've actually brought my Sangiovese glass and my Pinot glass, and I've Googled some images, and more images had glasses of wine that looked like that, but they looked suspiciously like Pinot Noir in the glass, not the deep colour of the Mencia that I was expecting to see. There is apparently a Mencia glass, but I don't know whether it's for Mencia wine or whether the people have just chosen the word Mencia because they think it sounds nice, because there seemed to be like a cocktail glass called part of the Mencia glass range. But the Mencia glass was a bit like this, but it was a bit wider at the bottom and sort of more triangular. So anyway, I'm going to start with this, but I might try it in the Pinot glass as well. Hopefully all will be well. I'm hoping also that Bernice is on the chat at some stage this evening. Hello, Bernice and Julian. We're very excited to be drinking your wine tonight. So Ministry of Clouds Mencia 2022. And I love this label. It's got a little bit of, I call it poetry. It's just a little, it's a little bit like, it's a little bit like a Pinot Gris on Skins label with a little philosophy written here. Alcohol and tannin straight up. Oh, Craig, you've got to get some air into this thing. So here we go. I might be getting some text messages from Bernice. Hang on. Here we go with the technology. Hello. Good to see you, Bernice. Here we go. Okay. I've got the lid off. That's a good start. I'm going to put some in my glass. I love the colour of this wine. It's purple. And I'll tell you also, Jeremy's gone for I can't even say, keftitas as well. Better than the Spanish one that you had in Coffs, Kay. Leonie, hello. You've got New World Pinot glasses and Massam Curry. How fantastic. Yum. Craig's getting the alcohol and tannin straight up. What sort of glass are you drinking it out of, Craig? Fiona, whiff of rosewater, Turkish delight. Yes, I'm going to get into that nose in just a moment because I do think it's rather wonderful. Moussaka with Paul and Roz. Now, Dad gave me a glass of another Mencia last night because he's actually showing Mencia in the room next door as well. I probably shouldn't say that because there might be someone listening who's doing the tasting. I think it's yeah, okay. I'm going to put this in a Pinot glass in a minute because I think the Pinot glass is going to give me more of the perfume on the nose. Shell, you could have decanted it. Absolutely. I think this wine would actually benefit from decanting. I thought I'd better not use the decanters because I thought Richard might have needed them for his tasting, but he's shaking his head. So I could have decanted as well. What I'm going to do with a quick decant is I'm going to put it from here into here because I just think in this little glass, it smells a little bit, first off, when it hasn't opened up, it smells a little bit like raspberry juice and a little bit like grappa. And it's the 4th of July. Oh, Kevin, excellent. Barbecue ribs and coleslaw. So the 4th of July is a special date for me because my previous dog, Pedro, who none of you met, putting him in the soda stream. Craig, stop it. My previous dog, Pedro, was born on the 4th of July, and so my Facebook reminds me it's his birthday today every year. He would have been 22 today, so that's way too old for a dog. But Polly's sulking in missing him. There she is, sulking. Polly, there we go. Say hi to everyone. Good girl. Good girl. All right, so Pinot glass is opening the wine up much better. So if you've got a Pinot glass at hand and you can change it over, the wine will open up in the glass, no matter what shape glass you've got. But because it's young, it's a 22, so it's a baby wine, needs lots of air. So yes, a decanter, yes, a big Pinot glass. And now on the nose, I'm getting that character that I am starting to associate with Mencia, and it's a grape variety that I don't know a huge amount about yet, but I'm fascinated by the grape variety, and I've really loved the good examples of this grape variety that I've tasted, and this is definitely one that I think is super. I think it was the 2021 that I tasted at the beginning of the year when I was in McLaren Vale and tasting with these guys. I'll tell you that story in a minute. But this wine is a little tighter than the 21 because I had a 21 fairly recently because I bought some as soon as I came home because it was so delicious. But it's got this beautiful purple colour to it. It's also on the nose. The first thing that I can smell once it's in the Pinot glass is violet. It's got this beautiful floral aromatic, and I think Fiona was talking about rosewater and Turkish delight. I get a little bit of that. But it's a bit sort of darker floral for me. And it's that really lovely violet kind of aromatic. There's this beautiful, it does have a raspberry fruit character, but it's also got almost a blackberry fruitedness to it. It's darker. As it opens up, the fruit gets darker and richer and the spice is starting to come out. So we'll let it open up in the glass a little bit. Now, what are other people saying? Shell, after these flavours, I wish Andrew had made an ottolenghi dish for tonight. I think that's right. I think that an ottolenghi dish could have worked really well with this moussaka for Paul and Roz. I think that would be a delicious match for this wine. And you're having lamb chops and snags. Excellent. Young and aged Gouda. Fantastic. Kay is not getting too much tannin. Swapped Pinot Noir glass, much better. Yes. Facebook memories are great at reminding you of things that you maybe don't need to be reminded of. That's correct. It's so different in the Pinot glass, and it will work really well with the lamb. I'm really looking forward to biting into one of my little lamb scottaditi. So, and scottaditi, that's an Italian name for these little lamb chops. This is going to drip everywhere. These little lamb chops. They're called scottaditi. It translates as burn your fingers because when they come off the grill, the bone is really hot, as well as the meat, and they're rather wonderful. Paul says dark cherry limes. Absolutely, Paul. Yeah, that cherry fruit's coming up. So for me, a good Mencia is slightly reminiscent of Pinot Noir in the perfume profile. I think it's got a different shaped tannins. There's more intensity. There's a bit more. There's a little bit more weight and body to it. It's sort of, we've had some McLaren Vale Grenaches in the past, and there's something a little reminiscent with that cherry fruit juiciness there. But it also often will have a bit of black currant and a bit of leafiness and be reminiscent of Cabernet Franc. So it tends to make a really juicy, plush, easy drinking wine. And I think this is a very good example of that. Now, let me put some in my mouth because I really want to see if the palate's working. And now I'm getting some almost sort of talc notes off the nose, and also some spice, a little bit of cumin seed, a little bit of coriander seed. So it's quite a complex wine and really yummy. Okay. So on the palate, I'm getting that really juicy black cherry. It's like biting into a really ripe, beautiful cherry. You're right, the tannins here are quite soft, and one of the things that that the guys at Ministry of Clouds are very one of the most important things that they talk about is making food that is gastronomically friendly, that works well with food, wine that works well with food. Sorry, I'm garbling all my words because I'm so excited about this wine. But I think that the tannin here, there's really good tannin, but it's quite a silky tannin in its texture, and it's got so much lovely plush, juicy red and black fruit that the tannins are really softened by that fleshy fruit character in the wine. There's a bit of licorice coming through on the palate as well, which I think is really appealing, that goes with that spice. And Craig, I'm coming back to your comment that it needs a lot of air. I totally agree. As I said before, it's a 2022, so it's very, very young. Paul and Roz, I'm not sure how this one will age because I don't know enough about Mencia as a grape variety. I don't know how long these guys have been making it. Maybe Bernice, if you're on the text rather than on the chat, you might want to just text me a little bit of info about your experience with Mencia. Is this a fairly new thing for you guys? I have known Bernice and Julian for a long time. I can't remember when we first met, but our wines are sold by the same people in certainly in Victoria and I think in South Australia, maybe not in South Australia. Anyway, I caught up with them back in, when was it? 2018, 2019 with our Melbourne distributor over in Adelaide, and we had a beautiful meal, and I've loved their wines from the first time I tasted them. So I think they're really, they make a lot of different wines from different varieties under the Ministry of Clouds name. And the 2019 was the first vintage for them. So they're probably starting to get the hang of Mencia now, which is exciting. I don't think there's a lot of Mencia planted in Australia, but I think that this vineyard is in McLaren Vale, good place to grow it, lots of sunshine, sandy soil, close to the sea. It's a little warmer than the Mornington Peninsula, but apart from that, I think there are some real similarities between the aspect and the soil type and all of those kind of things when we're talking about certainly those sandier vineyards in McLaren Vale. 12 rows planted on their own block. So Bernice is just sending me some info about this wine. So I'm really interested to know why you got what could have prompted you guys to plant those 12 rows, because for Dad and me it was the trip in 2017. I took a group of friends, my MW tasting group friends, we went to Spain and Bordeaux, and had this amazing trip in sort of central to northern Spain, that makes me want to go back every time I think about it. And we went up to Bierzo and visited the Descendiente de Palacios vineyard. It's the kids of J. Palacios, who's famous in somewhere else in Spain. I want to say Ribera del Duero, but I'm not sure if that's right. But anyway, the family has had a huge amount of success with growing grapes and making wine in other parts of Spain, and they've taken over this old bush vine vineyard in Bierzo, and we tasted the wine, and we just thought it was so gorgeous, and it's got enough of that perfume and prettiness and juiciness that is something that we love about good Pinot Noir, and that we love about good Grenache, and that we love about good Nebbiolo even, that perfume that made Dad and me certainly say, why don't we think about planting a little bit here at Moorooduc when we replant the old Cabernet block to Pinot Noir. So that was our little Mencia journey. And it's we're always thinking about what's going to work here compared to, and heading out to buy snags now would be perfect. Lamb and rosemary snags would be beautiful. It really is a fantastic sausage wine, because all that plush fruit and the tannins being firm but not hard, if that makes sense. They've got a plushness to them, but the tannin and the acid in this wine just kind of will swirl around the fattiness of your sausages or your lamb. I'm going to have a bite of this lamb because it's calling out to me and getting cold, which is very sad. So here we go. Perfect. I'm a huge fan of these little lamb chops with their fat on them. If you cook them properly, the fat is so sweet. It's almost better than the meat. So that fattiness that works really well with the juiciness of the wine. I have to go back for another bite now because that's crazy. Luckily, I have a serviette because I'm making a mess. Yum. Just the right amount of char, just the right amount of fat, just the right amount of salt and meat. And it makes you want to take a nice full mouthful of this wine just to kind of roll around in your mouth, let it cover your tongue, all the sides of your cheeks and the top of your mouth, and really kind of work with those meaty, fatty, salty, umami flavors in the lamb. And it brings out more of the red currant, slightly leafy, slightly herbal note that you sometimes see in Cabernet Franc. But then you get this lovely plushness and the licorice and the black cherry. Really, really gorgeous. Jeremy, you've got the lamb keftetas on the top rack of the barbecue, and the smell of them and the wine, big thumbs up. Absolutely. It'll be so good. Did I have to mortgage the flat for the cutlets? No, Craig, I actually bought these through a friend of mine who has a farm down in Gippsland, Chianina Beef. I think I've talked about Daniela's beef before, but if I haven't, she does... they grow the Chianina cows, which are the Italian big white cows that you get the ginormous T-bone steaks from in Florence. And they have friends, their next door neighbours have lambs. So every year they do a lamb, and it is quite expensive, but I buy my little parcel of lamb and I put it in the freezer for special occasions. And I couldn't think of a better way to enjoy. I had 8 of them. So I gave Pete 4 to take home to Nina. It's rather wonderful. Fiona, you like a bit of Worcester sauce on your lamb chops, brings out the savour in the wine. Yeah, that'd be nice. I decided to keep my lamb cutlets really, because it's such beautiful lamb, I kept them really simple, and I just put a little bit of salt and pepper on them just as they went onto the grill. So it's all about the lamb for me with this. Berenice, have always loved the variety, a bit like you. We're thinking about varieties that might thrive in our region. It seems to be relatively drought and heat tolerant, retains prettiness, even though we're quite warm where we are, is the message from Bernice at Ministry of Clouds. Thank you for that. That's amazing. So, yeah, I think it's pretty cool seeing what's happening around Australia. And I think McLaren Vale's very... it's a very innovative region in South Australia. There's still a lot of Shiraz being grown and made, and there's nothing wrong with that. Shiraz is Australia's national grape variety, and it does very well in McLaren Vale. But for me, the even more exciting wines are the other grape varieties that people are playing with. Grenache has been grown there for a really long time, and I do love a McLaren Vale Grenache. And things like this Mencia, just an absolutely delicious addition to the mix. I think these Mediterranean varieties can work really, really well. There's people in McLaren Vale who are playing around with Nebbiolo and Barbera, but I think it might be almost too warm for those grape varieties in that they don't like to get too hot in the middle of summer. They like a sort of long, drawn-out, warm ripening period, but if they get too hot, they get sunburnt really easily. Craig, you had a Grenache. I think that was what you were popping down. We did have a Grenache together in one of our recent previous tastings. So, as I said before, one of the things I love about this wine is that it's got that plush fruit, and it's got that lovely structure, but the tannins are soft, and I think the tannins come from the skin of the Mencia grape. And I know that sounds like a mad thing to say, but a lot of times, particularly in this country, there's a tendency for certain winemakers to be worried that if a wine doesn't have enough tannin, then add tannin during winemaking, and that will kind of give it a bit more oomph and give it a bit more weight and it'll hold its color better while it's fermenting. I think often if people are playing around with added tannins, they can throw the wine out of balance really easily. And for me, I have no idea how Julian and Bernice have made this wine, but to me, it feels very harmonious in that the tannin is in balance with the acid, is in balance with the alcohol, and is in balance with that lovely plush fruit. So nothing sticks out, nothing seems edgy, nothing seems too drying. It's just in really lovely harmony. Everything's in beautiful harmony with each other, which is what I like to see when I'm drinking wine. I really don't want to get knocked around the head by grainy, gritty tannins or a lack of elegance. And this wine has a richness and a plushness to it, but it still has this beautiful elegance to it, which I think is really awesome. It's a wine that's pretty generous, but not over the top, not too big. It's not going to tire you out drinking half a glass. It's a wine that I know I would love to drink with friends over a meal and a conversation like we're having right now. And you have one glass and then you need a little top up and the conversation continues, and it's pretty awesome. So the other thing that I like about this wine is that there's not really any evidence of new oak, and I'm not sure if it maybe sees a tiny bit, but it's very nicely integrated if it does. So I have to tell you that when I discovered this wine, it was I was on an MW education program trip out to McLaren Vale, and we were at Wirra, where one of my fellow MWs now works, and he had organised a really lovely speed tasting with a whole lot of McLaren Vale producers, and Bernice and Julian were there, and we had 5 minutes to taste, I think it was 2 wines from each winery. And I'm trying to remember what the white wine was that we had, Bernice. I do remember. I've forgotten the grape variety because I was concentrating so much on the Mencia, but it was equally delicious, and I was quite tempted to put that forward as a drink, as my Drinks with Kate guest wine. But the Mencia won out in the end. But it was such a lovely surprise because we'd been around and lots of people showed us their lovely Shiraz and their lovely. Some people had some beautiful old vine Grenache, which was super duper. And then I got to the Ministry of Cloud table, and they're like, "Here you go. Here's some white wine." Pick pool, absolutely, thank you. It was the pick pool, and it's the pick pool. If you find the Ministry of Clouds pick pool floating around, buy it, drink it. It's delicious, really great. I think it would be really great with sort of grilled seafood, bit of calamari, bit of maybe some sardines, but also it's just got some lovely kind of floral lift to it that was really rather delicious as well. So they said, "Here, have this white wine, pick pool," and I went, "Oh, great! Haven't had pick pool from Australia forever." And then they had Mencia for us as the red wine, and it was just such a lovely kind of. It just makes your brain go and change direction, and your taste buds and your palate kind of light up because it's something different, and it's beautiful, and it's unique, and it's one of those really kind of exciting things about wine tasting. We get it here. To a lesser degree, weirdly, with our Shiraz, because people go traveling around the Mornington Peninsula tasting wine, and they'll taste Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, a bit of Pinot Gris, and then they get to us and they'll taste our Pinot Gris on skins and go, "Oh, wow, that's different." And they'll taste our Shiraz and go, "Oh, wow, that's different," because it's different from most Australian Shirazes, and there's not a lot of Shiraz on tasting around the peninsula. And I think that that kind of throwing something completely different into the mix with different shape, different flavor profile, deliciousness. It's pretty awesome. Nareem, you've got guests tonight. New Drinks with Kate sign up. Excellent. Rebecca, I would love to have you join us on a regular basis with Drinks with Kate. We do. This is the end of box 3, and we have box 4 available right now, so it's a great time to jump on. I'm going to put a little bit more of this one. People, so okay, can't comment unless I create a channel. Oh, I'm sorry, Bernice. It doesn't matter. You're doing a great job with the text. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy. We've got this. It's all good. We're very relaxed here at Drinks with Kate. The wine gets to do the talking most of the time. And we only have the very best of guests. So you're in great company. And now that, well, Bernice can't get onto the chat easily, so I might give you. I mean, you can Google them. They're doing great things, but as I understand it, and I'm just going to give you the very basics. That Ministry of Clouds, I think it's such a great name, and it's signifying the decision to move from corporate winemaking that both Julian and Bernice were involved with for a long time to follow their dreams. So Ministry is the corporate and Clouds is the dreams. And so now they're making their own wines under their own label with all their own rules, making wine that they really want to make. And I think that it's a wonderful result. The other Ministry of Clouds wine that I should mention to you guys, just while we're talking about the brand in general, look, they've got lots of wines, and the wines from South Australia are fabulous, but they also make a terrific Tasmanian Chardonnay. Hopefully you guys are still making it, but I've had it for a few vintages, and it's really lovely, and it's a pretty special Chardonnay, and I think that's a really nice thing that. The philosophy here at Moorooduc is that if we can't grow it here, we don't make it. There's an equally valid and really awesome philosophy from people who, I think it's probably people who are a little bit more adventurous than us, and people who maybe have been used to dealing with fruit from different regions, maybe with a corporate past, maybe working for a big wine company and then coming to a smaller wine company, but having contacts with people who have great vineyards in different parts of Australia and buying the fruit and bringing it to their winery to make it. And if you transport the fruit well, then you can make really special wine from special places all around. Now, what are we seeing here? Works so well, carbonic. Yeah. Okay. So Vanessa's saying that they do that. The wine smells amazing when it's being destemmed, but also keen to push the ferments to achieve more savoury tannin line, hence the long time on skins. So they make about 5 to 6 tons in 4 different ferments: 2 whole berry ferments, one about 30%, and a parcel of 100% carbonic. It spends somewhere between 2 and 6 weeks on skins. So it's quite, four different ferments to get different characters into the wine from different techniques, and then blending together. Very smart winemaking, and that's one of the ways that you get that combination of that beautiful fleshy upfront fruit. The carbonic is bringing in some of that lovely licorice and raspberry raspberry jube kind of aromatics in the wine, as well as that lovely plush dark cherry. Some whole bunch. She's saying a couple of whole berry ferments. One has about 30% whole bunch to give it a little bit more tannin, a little bit more time on skin for some of them to pull out some more tannins as well. So really sort of thoughtful, complex winemaking, creating 4 different ingredients to sort of blend together to make the final wine, which I think is really cool, and obviously works so well for this wine. Yeah, awesome. Have I missed any of the other comments? Yeah, nope. I think I've got all the info now. You've stopped the Tassie Chardonnay. Yeah, COVID changed that for them. Now it's in Adelaide Hills. And I'm sure that will be just as delicious. But I did love the Tassie Chardonnay. Anyway, I'll keep an eye out for any spare bottles that I might find. I have total faith that these guys are going to make beautiful wine from whatever fruit, wherever they source it, because the idea is to buy good fruit from good growers and grow your own good fruit as well, and then you can make beautiful wine. It doesn't really matter where it's from, as long as it's as the fruit's appropriate to the climate and to the site, and that the people who are growing it know what they're doing. I think it's really important. So, Craig, you're saying you had a Grenache Gris from McLaren Vale Good Food and Wine Show. Never heard it before, but it was textural and yummy. Now, that might have been from who? Oh, no, my brain's gone. I think I know which one you're talking about, Craig, and if it's the one that I'm thinking of, it's delicious, but my brain's just gone out the window. Kay, what have you just bought? You just bought some. You just bought some more of this, or you bought some Grenache, some of the Grenache Gris, or some lamb cutlets. So the wines are opening up really nicely, Bernice. How do you think this wine's going to age? Is it a wine that you think people should drink young and juicy, or is it going to do? Is it going to do things with time? I don't know enough about Mencia as a grape variety to know how the Spanish versions age, but I'm some Mencia, good work, Kay. But I do think that this wine shows some potential to be able to age pretty well, because it's got that lovely balance, and it's got a plushness of fruit. And people have noted that they think that the tannins look quite soft, but I think that there's some good tannin structure there. You could probably, no, that's not the one I was thinking of, but I'll keep an eye out for it, Craig. Grenache Gris is a really interesting grape variety. My sister's brother-in-law, who has a vineyard in the south of France, grows a bit of Grenache Gris and makes some delicious wine from it. So also grown in the Rhone in the south of France, as well as in Spain. We've got some dots happening, so I'm getting some more information from Bernice on the text. Just trying to ignore a slight stuffy nose at the moment, but I'm hoping that I'm not getting any of these colds that are going around. Richard's walking around with champagne, so obviously his guests have arrived. No more messages from the Adelaide Hills, from the McLaren Vale. Sorry, McLaren Vale. What I will say is that I'm finding this wine delicious drinking right now. I have a feeling that because it's changing so much in the glass as we're talking and it's opening up and it's doing its thing, then it probably will age well for at least 5 to 8 years. I think we might lose a bit of that lovely plush, juicy, fleshy fruit that's so delicious about it. So maybe it's not a wine that I would choose to age for too long, but I probably put a bottle or two down just to kind of see what happens because I'm curious. But what a beautiful wine to serve on a cold winter's night with some lovely grilled meat. Is this a popular variety in Spain? Cody, good question. So it's grown in quite a small part of northwest Spain. Bierzo is the most well-known region for it. And then there's somewhere, I always get my Spanish region. It's something Sacra Christi, something very nearby. And so no, it's not a very well-known grape variety in Spain, Cody. And I think it's a variety that is seeing a bit of a resurgence internationally because of quite famous international producers who have kind of come back to the region and taken over beautiful old vineyards that have been a bit abandoned over the last few decades. I think it's been rediscovered rather than being a variety that has been highly significant and famous during recent Spanish wine history. Berenice is saying recently they had DJP Montebel 2012. So DJP is the vineyard that I visited in Bierzo. So one of their single vineyard wines from 2012. It was amazing. So presume the grape variety has a potential to age when it's made well and when it's made. Sorry, I just noticed that my necklace was around the wrong way. I really should stop looking at myself in the mirror. Ministry of Clouds, time will tell. We're hoping the savoury tannins line will carry the fruit, but might not be as bright. Bernice agrees, 5 to 8 years probably. Ribera Sacra, thank you. Valdesorras and Bierzo are the regions where it's grown in. Here we go, Kay. Just found this Mencia wine from Spain is produced in 2 of the Galician Dios in the northwest Spain, Valdesorras and Ribera Sacra. It's also grown in Bierzo. There we go. Thank you, Kay. That's very good research for when we get to Spain in WSET 3 in a few weeks' time. It is such a fabulous drink now, wine. Paul and Rose, I agree. It's really, really balanced. It's a really delicious wine right now. As I say, I'll be really interested to see how it ages because, as Craig said, a good 90-minute decant wouldn't hurt it. It's starting to show its fruit. Did you start drinking before 6 o'clock, Craig? Did you start drinking this wine before 6 o'clock? That's very unlike the Goodman household. What's Joan cooked for you guys tonight? You said lamb backstrap. Fantastic. It is starting to get more savoury as it gets more air into it, and the spice and the herbal notes are coming forward a little bit more. So that kind of lolly shop of ripe fruit and juiciness coming forward early on, and then the spice and the savouriness coming through with lots of air. Shelley, you had a lovely gamay at the Albert Park Hotel at lunch. Oh, well, you're just rolling from lunch to drinks with Kate to dinner. Good work. Cheers. Gamay is a good luncheon wine. I think Mencia is a very good early evening drink. Andrew asked what was the occasion. I said because I felt like it. Good, excellent. And a cob loaf. You are spoiled. Karen hasn't stopped since last night. Oh, you had a big week, Karen. Or have you had a very busy work week? Is that what Craig is saying? Has not stopped working or hasn't stopped drinking since last night? Or baking. Karen's been baking. I think that's what you're saying. Kay, you had a fabulous cheapy Tempranillo running with bulls and Italian lunch the other day. Excellent. Look, there's so many fabulous Mediterranean varieties that we're just starting to play with here in Australia. And I think that if everyone could make Mediterranean varieties as beautifully as Bernice and Julian are making this Mencia, then we would be a very happy country indeed. I think that there's so many things to choose from: beautiful Gamay, beautiful Tempraneos, all sorts of things. So this is a good introduction to what we're going to do next week, because this is the last wine in our box 3, and what a lovely way to finish with this beautiful Mencia. I think that Richard and I are convinced that we need to plant a little trial planting of Mencia here at Moorooduc to see whether we can get it ripe in this slightly cooler climate than McLaren Vale. We could be crazy, but we might give it a go. We do love the grape variety. But next week we have a spare week. We've got 2 spare weeks coming up, actually. Kay Farrow is very good at multitasking. Bernice has just said thank you, Kay, for the order. Much appreciated. You're very good at multitasking. And Bernice thinks that we should plant some Mencia here at Moorooduc as well. So I think that's the fate of Moorooduc Mencia is sealed. We'll be planting a few vines at least in spring, just to give them a go. Karen's claiming she hasn't stopped working, but sometimes you need good wine to keep going. Absolutely, Karen. That's right. And this is a good one to keep you going with. So hopefully in a few years' time we'll be able to do a comparative tasting of Ministry of Clouds Mencia and Moorooduc Estate Mencia. You never know. It would be a lovely thing to be able to do, and I hope that we could make a wine half as delicious as this. Very, very happy with that. Are you all right, Polly? You're having a little talk. Polly wants to say something, but I'm not quite sure what it is. I'll just pop her on the camera. Yes, Polly? What? Really? She's just rolling her eyes at you now. I think she's telling me it's time to wrap up, because we've hit the 40-minute mark, and I could keep. I'm going to keep drinking this beautiful Mencia once we finish. But yes, Shell's asking, are you planning for different varieties as the climate warms? Investing in the future, absolutely. I think that. Jill, sausage rolls. No sausage rolls for me. Jill's on the way out with some sausage rolls. Here, hang on. There you go. There she goes. Polly thinks she might go to Jill's dinner party rather than my dinner party because she hasn't had any lamb yet. You all right? Paul, you come here. Come on. No, he's too busy drinking champagne. Whoops. I think it's... yeah, she's made it. Well done. So next week, Mencia will be in the Drinks with Kate box in 2035. No, hopefully before that, John, but who knows? Drinks with Kate in 5 years for a comparison. I hope so. So yes, we are. I know I want some of Jill's sausage rolls too, but she's just gone to the cellar door. Very rude. Loans wants to know, how do we pronounce this word? So if you are, so the Spanish have a beautiful idiosyncrasy that started, and I don't know, and my history is very, very shaky, but in the past, at one stage, after Spain had gone and conquered South America, there was a king of Spain who had a lisp. And so before he was king, they would have said Mencia. But when this king became king and had a lisp, then everybody in Spain who was speaking Spanish, because there were some outreaches of Spain where there were some very difficult rebels who didn't want to be part of Spain. This king lisped, so all of his subjects then had to lisp. So from then on, the word Mencia, and if you ask someone from Argentina or Chile, they don't lisp at all. In Barcelona, because Spanish is their second language, they tend not to lisp, so they call it Barcelona, not Barcelona. But Mencia became Mencia. And I think you would also find that there are some, and again, I don't know the intricacies of where the separatist rebels in Spain are, but I think there are some up in the northwest. So it's highly possible that the locals call it Mencia, but as a sort of general Spanish way, King Ferdinand, thank you, Kevin. As a general Spanish way of pronouncing Mencia, it became, thanks to King Ferdinand, Mencia. So I hope that'll make sense. Next week, what were we going to taste next week, Polly? I had a really good idea and now I've completely forgotten. I know the sausage rolls have gone into the other room. She's come looking for sausage rolls. You can see her tail wagging. If anyone's got any suggestions, feel free to email me. We will release Moorooduc, exactly, Fiona. Thanks, Craig. Just to depress us all a little bit. We have a little Joe Biden reference. Thank you. No, I had a really good idea for next week, but I've forgotten. So it will come back to me when I'm not talking to you. I'll send you an email on Monday and tell you. But it will be a grape variety that we haven't looked at. Indeed, Shell, dreadful. Gracias. That's exactly what I say, gracias. Gracias. Yeah, it's just a little Spanish lisp that's happened. I wish I could remember what we were going to taste next week. It'll come back to me, I promise. So we've got 2 weeks. So I think maybe we'll do a grape variety next week. And we might do a cocktail or a mocktail or something the following week, maybe a tea tasting. I might not get too many takers for that, but I will put my mind to it. We will come up with something good. Vouvray, Craig, we could absolutely do Vouvray. Chenin Blanc, Vouvray, next week, Craig, or the following week. We'll put our heads together and come up with that. So you can see, Bernice, that we just descend into madness at the end of this tasting, and that's when I say, okay, guys, it's time for me to go. Thank you so much for the Mencia, Bernice. It was absolutely beautiful. Thank you for making such a gorgeous wine. I'll show you guys the Ministry of Clouds label again. Love it, love it, love it. Buy these wines, drink these wines. They're bloody awesome. Time change to 10 a.m. for the tea tasting, Shell. Absolutely. Well, let's see how we go. I'm sure I'll remember what I was thinking at Fiano. We could do Fiano. Absolutely, Kevin. That's 2 weeks. Oh, so we could do Chenin in the form of Vouvray 1 week, and we could do Fiano from Italy in the following week. That could be fun. All right, team. Thank you so much. This is beautiful. Thank you so much. Julian and Bernice, Ministry of Clouds, keep making beautiful wine. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. It's awesome. I'm going to go and eat my cold lamb chops now. I don't care that they're cold. They're still going to be delicious. It's been awesome, team. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your Mencia, and keep an eye out for some more versions of this variety. The Spanish make it well. We're making it beautifully here. Love you all, guys. Thanks, Shell. Take care. Beautiful wine. See you all next week. Ta-ra.